This next Fahey lesson is going to be on one of my favorite tunes by him, Uncloudy Day. And to get this song going, you'll have to get your guitar tuned to open D tuning, with a capo on the 4th fret, much like my previous one on him with John Fahey, except that was in standard, I guess. This song is kind of nice, has a lot of alternating bass lines, and it's in 3/4, so the alternating bass line will be bottom string, 2 beats on the D string. That'll be for the 1 chord. Now on the treble side it'll go. You can do sweeps or whatever, but just the main point to get across will be these top 2 strings. I like to play those very triumphantly. And then a very visceral bend here. And to make it a little more juicy, what you can do is when you bend on that 3rd fret of the B string, you can when you sweep across it, if you do sweep across it, you can get some of these open strings. Notably G string open to give it a little fatter of a sound. Get that minor 3rd in there. And then release it. And as you release it, pluck these top 2 strings again. And then pluck the B string open, not being afraid to grab some of that G string again. And then these 2 notes. 1st fret of the G string, 3rd fret of the D string. And I just pull off on that one. Sounds smoother, I guess. Maybe. So far. And then there's a little line on the bass side that gets played. Depends on the recording. Sometimes it goes. Guitar's out of tune. In some recordings, or one recording, he plays a power chord going up. From the 3rd fret, these 2 bottom strings plucked on the same fret, that being the 3rd fret, and the same fret, that being the 5th fret, back. And in other recordings, he hits the octave, like that, without going to the 5th fret. The nice thing is you can choose between the 2. You can go, or you can go. Both sound super cool, and when I kind of add in, I don't think Fahey does this, but pluck that bottom 3rd fret, the E string, and then hit the 3rd fret of the D string with the G string open, lots of open G strings. You get that major 3rd and the minor 3rd. Pardon me if I was calling the G a minor 3rd earlier, it's a major 3rd. Anyhow, you get the minor 3rd and the major 3rd together. It sounds very, like almost Thelonious Monkish. And that move, or this shape in general, with the bottom E string and same fret of the D string with an open G string and open D position, is very common blues thing. That's where I got that from. Now we're going to the 4 chord. Now just to reiterate, remember when you do add in those bass notes, it'll sound like this. You should play those bass notes on each beat. I was taking too many liberties. Anyhow, going into the 4 chord. You enter it like that. On the treble side, that's 3rd fret of the top E string with some of these open treble strings around it. And then open on just all the treble strings. And then starting on the B string 3rd fret, sweeping across the treble strings. And now we're into the 3rd chord, the 4 chord. Now the 4 chord shape will be with the 2nd fret on the A string, 1st fret on the G string. This 4 chord. Now the alternating bass line will be on the 2nd fret of the A string that you're going to hold down, and the open A and the open D string. Take a minute to get used to 3/4 to begin the song before you even do all this. It's not a huge change to go from 4/4 alternating bass, but it takes a little bit of getting used to. But once you get used to it, it should be okay. Now this treble side stuff will be. That'll be 1st fret of the G string. That'll be included in this chord that I was showing you. And then you just hit it again. And then 2nd fret of the B string. Open E string. Now you'll want to keep these other notes fretted too, in case you grab them on the sweep, because then you'll at least be in the chord, rather than it'll sound wrong. And you'll be good there. And then you hit that 3rd fret of the top E string. And hit it again like that. And then into the open top string. And then you're back into the 1 chord. Keeping all these held down. Back into the 1 chord. And then what he'll do is a little bit of this. Again. Into the 1 chord. Does a repeat. Chord is a little bit different this time. You hit the G and B strings. Oh, that's a double stop. And then you get into the 5 chord. Now the 5 chord is again a very simple chord shape that you can keep in mind anytime you play open B. The 2nd fret of the D string, 1st fret of the G string. That'll be our 5 chord. And And the alternating bass will be on this open A string and the second fret of the D string. Right there. Now, those double stops that you're playing to enter into the 5 chord will just segue perfectly. You just keep doing the same thing you're doing and just change the note on the G string. So it's the same strings. And like you were doing here, same thing on the G and B strings, open B string to be very exact, and the first fret of the G string here. So, and then what he'll do, I was repeating that just for clarity's sake, second fret of the E string, and what I like to do with this song is roll into a lot of these. And you'll be hitting that with a bunch of these treble strings again. And then what you'll do is pluck the treble strings, maybe with a sweep, starting from the 4th fret of the B string. And if you don't think you can reach this, trust me, you can, because I can. And I don't have very big hands. What I'm doing is, because I'm not going to be using this top, we're not going to use this top E string, I'm just barring across those top 2 strings on the 4th fret. Kind of like my pinky's just using up all that root because it can. And it's easier to make that reach if you just give yourself the liberty of barring across like this. Even if you are only using that B string on the 4th fret, not that E string on the 4th fret. So again, I'm just barring across the top 2 strings with my pinky on the 4th fret. After this, right here, to permit this plucking, sweeping across, starting from the 4th fret B string, and then using the rest of this chord. And then I lift that bar to make way for this, to get back to the 2nd fret of the top E string. So again, to reiterate, topped with this chord shape throughout, 2nd fret of the top E string. Now keeping this held down because I'm going to need it later, I'm going to bar across the top 2 strings on the 4th fret with my pinky, and pluck, starting from the B string, that 4th fret. And lift it up, get back into this, and then pluck, starting from the open B string. And then do a couple more of these little moves. And then, I'm almost done. I was just getting into the sharp 9 there. It's the 3rd fret of the top E string. Opening and closing from that 3rd fret. And then back into that 1. All over. Now to kind of recap, because that's a lot of information, and I recommend that you rewind if it's a little quick, is you start with these double stops, and get into this 5 chord shape, a couple of these moves, and then into that second fret of the top E string, bar, back to that second fret, back into the double stop. Double stop being with the G and B strings. A couple of these. Now into this to finish it off. That maybe a few times. There's an intro to this song that I don't think I remember. I'm trying to. Anyways, there are really great tabs to learn the intro, and it's really cool. But what you'll have to do is tune down your top string from a D to a C. So before we had it like this, and do some of these harmonics. I can't remember. I'm sorry, I can't remember. The tabs are really great, and you'll learn them in a jiffy. It's the rest of the song that's a little more challenging to figure out, and hopefully that sheds some more light on how to do it. It's a really intense and fun song, and almost spiritual song to play, so I'd recommend that if you do go with this one, like any other tune, just really push to appreciate all of it and have it all down on your fingers, because it's a lot of fun. Thanks for watching.